It's a very interesting space right now in sport, as you got a period of time where there's a lot of athletes that are becoming a little bit unsettled because they want to leave and move on to new challenges. Some want to move on to a better team, and some just want to move on to another horizon. And this is in sport in general. So let's just say in football, for instance, you've got players like Aaron Ramsey who wants to leave Arsenal for different reasons. I believe he hasn't been offered enough money at the club that he's at right now, and is being offered a better prospect and an opportunity at another better club. You've got players like Yannick Carrasco who wants to have a new challenge. He's in China right now, wants to come to the Premier League. In the NBA, you've got players like Kyrie Irving, whose contract will be running out. He's going to be a free agent. You've got KD, Kevin Durant, whose contract is running out also. So they're looking to move on to different teams. They're not looking to stay at their particular teams. But I'm going to focus on two players right now. So one from the NBA, from basketball, and then one from football. So the player in the NBA I want to focus on is Anthony Davis. So he's a massive prospect. He plays for the Pelicans, and he's been there for his whole NBA career. Now, the fact that I'm mentioning the Pelicans, not many people will know that team. They're not the greatest team out there. They're not the famous name. And so for him to be one of the highest ranked players in the NBA, he's been in the All-Star teams for many years, and as a record of how valuable he is to his team has offered him 240 million for his new deal, but he's rumored to reject that, and he's got a deal until 2020. So he's a Pelicans player officially, or technically should I say, till 2020, but he's actually put in a requested trade, so he wants to leave. And the problem is with this is that it can easily unsettle his team right now, and the organization, as they call them in America. And so this could go two ways. So it could go the way that he expects it to go, and he could go to a team which is rumored to be Lakers, and there's good evidence to suggest that he's got the same agent as LeBron James. LeBron James has spoken highly of him, so it is likely that he wants to go to the Lakers. And so he could either make that move, or Pelicans can be stubborn and say, look, we have him officially until 2020. They can keep hold of him and then let him go as a free agent. And that could lead to more complications where they may not play him for the season, and just creates a really ugly scenario, very similar to how Kawhi left San Antonio Spurs. Now, you also got in football Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's a massive talent right now. He's 18 years old. He's had a great pre-season at Chelsea, and he was highly praised by the coach, but he's not really getting the game time. So it's a bit of a difference in terms of Anthony Davis being a player that everybody wants, and Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's has the potential to become someone who everybody wants. But he has been recognised in Germany, where there's a lot of English young talent that has been growing and getting their opportunities. But at a team in Bayern Munich who is really aging right now, and so they want to look to the next generation and develop players in that mode. And so this is a great opportunity for Callum Hudson-Odoi, but in this instance, the trade or the transfer period has ended. So now his situation is cemented that he's not going anywhere, despite his desires to move, despite him putting out a transfer request to leave. He has to be at Chelsea. And what was very interesting is the following week, where he actually had a great display before the transfer window ended. The week after that, he did not play on the bench. He was left out of the squad. And so it was very interesting to see what the result of him staying at Chelsea meant, where he wasn't involved, whereas Chelsea said they want him to stay and they want to use him and develop him. And so it's two frustrating scenarios for both of these athletes right now. And what I want to do is lead them with a message that can empower them and prevent this frustrating period from being something that has a negative side on their career rather than the positive side. And so the main message that I want to give these athletes is, you have to make sure that you keep challenging yourself. Now, let's just say, for instance, that both teams do not play you for the rest of the season. Now, it's going to be very unfair for your career to say that you're not developing and you're not improving and you're not, moving from strength to strength because the team's not playing you. The question I pose to you is, what will you be doing to make sure that you're keeping yourself sharp? You're keeping yourself at the top of your game. Now, game time is very important, but if you don't have any game time, what else can you do? You have to then have the mentality, you have to do everything within your power to make sure that you can change the narrative in your favour. Now, Callum Hudson-ODOI, there's nothing that he can do until the summer. And so what can he do in order to make sure that he's keeping himself sharp and ready for whenever he's called upon, whether it be at Chelsea or it is at another team? My question to Anthony Davis, who I believe is coming back from injury, what can he be doing to make sure that he's sharp and he's ready and he's able to satisfy the demands of the NBA at the Pelicans, or whether he goes to another team? But from now till then, what can he be doing? And the answer to that, it has to be a daily thing. It has to be small daily successes that these athletes are achieving. Now, if you're not playing competitive games, it's going to be training what you're doing within your team, the remit of your team. But then also, if you're not doing enough to keep yourself sharp, it's going to be also, what are you doing outside the remit of your team's regime? So, you have training. What more can you be doing to make sure that you're sharp? And it doesn't mean go and play for a different team, but you have to be training yourself. Maybe you can team up with a few players or a few athletes of some sort and do a training session and involve a little bit of competition, not too vigorously. Maybe you can have a private trainer that's giving you some high intensity training that is close, or as close as possible, to competitive scenarios. But the overall message to these boys is, you have to make sure that you're giving yourself daily challenges. It's important for you to be challenged to keep yourself at a physical condition, but also mentally, making sure that you're keeping yourself motivated and making sure that these challenges that you've got are something that you really want to achieve. And so you've got something that you're always working to progress on. And that's the way that's going to keep you motivated in a scenario where you're not getting what you want in terms of maybe your team situation or game time situation. And the beautiful thing about this message to these two gents is that this can be taken into players that are not actually receiving the amount of game time that they wish they're receiving at their club. So if you feel like you're on the bench and you're struggling to get back into the team, if you are someone that's not even involved in the team, what can you be doing? You can't blame the club for you not being able to be sharp, so to speak. Yes, the club is important, game time is important, but you have to now take your own career into your own hands. Ownership has to be taken. What are you doing to change your narrative, and what can you do? And there's quite a few things that can be done. And it's thinking out the box. Maybe you need to have a bit of a supporting system around you that can help provide opportunities and create opportunities to make sure that you're sharp and staying on top of your game.